joined by Johnny Fisher, 2 months removed from a defeat at the hands of Dave Allen. As it sinks in now, how do you reflect on that night?
It sunk in pretty much straight away. It's a gutting feeling, obviously. You feel like you've let your friends and family down, but when them few weeks afterwards, it sort of rejuvenates you and gives you a sense of the pressure's off. You're surrounded by great people, so you know that there's a route back. And I think I look at that fight and we got some things wrong as a team collectively, and I'm to blame for that because I'm the one who steers the ship, really, as the professional boxer who gets in there. But there's a hope and there's a route back for me because I can play to my strengths a bit more moving forward, you know, and the career is young. I'm 26 years old. There's a route back for me, 100%.
Answer this as politically as you like, but from your perspective, what did go wrong on that night?
I think the game plan of trying to box on the back foot was probably, it's a logical game plan. It's a game plan that can work, but probably just didn't work for me. Someone who's naturally a come-forward fighter. I'm a heavy-handed fighter. I rely on them weighting my punches coming forward. And it makes sense logically after the closest of the first fight to try and adapt and do something different, but I took away my best asset, which is my aggression. And my best form of defence sometimes is just wearing out the other man. And if you look at the first fight, the first 4 or 5 rounds, I've done enough to wear Dave out that when he did land flush from me, and I was a bit fitter for that one, I feel, it done the job. Might not be pretty, but it done the job to keep me in that fight and make it a close fight. Like I could have gone one way. But the way I tried to box after 4 or 5 rounds, it probably doesn't suit me, you know? And I've had to learn that the hard way. But the beautiful thing about boxing is, you have another fight after that, you're back in that mix. And that's what I've got to do, get back in that mix.
Often after a defeat, there's a level of change in some camps. From your perspective, does everything stay the same, or do you need to change, trainers? Do you need to change management? Are there any big changes, do you think, after this defeat?
I think a lot of things will change over time. I think sometimes when you get defeated is when you make changes. But you sort of, when you win, you gloss over certain things. But that's changes within myself as well. It's not about putting blame on this manager, this trainer, this promoter. I'm the fighter. The blame is with me because I make the decisions. So anything that goes on in that ring is because of what I've got to decide. And I'm only just beginning to realise that now. And I've got to take ownership. And the best way to get over a defeat is take ownership for it. I wasn't good enough on the night, but I can be better. I know I can be better than that, and I can give it a better go. So that gives me hope. If you're not good enough, I weren't good enough that night, but I can be one day.
Time away from the ring, obviously a great time to reflect, spend time with family, and read history. I know, of course, you did a history degree like myself. What have you been reading?
Well, I did do my dissertation on the aerial bombing of Germany from 1944 to 45. I've been doing a lot of reading on that, and they were sort of atrocities that happened in Dresden and Hamburg. We talk about the fire bombings and the targeting of civilian and refugee populations. And when you look back, it's cliche, but the history is written by the victors. And maybe if we didn't win that Second World War, there'd be a little bit more focus on what we done. We always live within the sphere of what we know as history from where we live. So we talk about Great Britain and their role in the war, which is a pivotal role. But then that sort of means that kids in England don't learn about how important the Russians was. Operation Bagration, 2 million men moving through, or more than that, moving through the Battle of Kursk, the Battle of Stalingrad, the Siege of Leningrad, all these pivotal turning moments. It's so important for history, you know, and the geographical location of where you live, it often determines how you view history. So I feel like what my reading's been leading me to, and what I've been watching in terms of Mark Felton Productions on YouTube, a lot of that stuff is sort of letting me realise that we can't view it through our sphere of where we live. We have to view history in a global sense. And something like World War II, we have to give a lot of thanks to the Russians for what they done as well.
It's important to have that downtime, isn't it, away from boxing? How crucial have family been at this point? How crucial have the people been around you, building you back up after that defeat?
Well, it's been great. Listen, my mum and dad, they're fantastic. The only thing I would say about my dad is when we was in the hotel room in Dublin and he was farting the hell out of my hotel room, there was no windows. I felt like I was in some sort of torture chamber and I was going to pass out. So, yeah, thank you, Dad, for being who you are, but a little bit less of the methane, please. Yeah.
When can we expect you back in the ring? When would you like to be back out again?
Hopefully the lungs clear up within the next couple of months from the methane. And as soon as that's cleared up, I'll be ready to rock and roll. I'm just keeping it to strength and conditioning at the minute, while that sort of cardio system recovers from that. And, As soon as I'm methane free, I'll be back in there. October time.
October time.
The doctors have told me.
October time, of course, I understand. So you're back in training then?
Yeah, I am. I'm training with my strength and conditioner, Sonny Cannon. Just building that base back up. I think the last year, where it was such a whirlwind after the Babbage win, and then it was like, oh, we'll get you on the Manchester card in a few weeks after that. You sort of just go with it. The high intensity training continues. Then that gets cancelled, so you're fighting in Sheffield. Then that gets cancelled, so you're doing your own show. Then my bicep tears. Then I'm fighting in December. Then I'm having a break after that hard fight. I've sort of let my body not waste away, but my asset is my athletic strength and my robustness, and I've sort of not neglected it because it's just the way the fights sort of planned out and the schedule planned out. I've had no time to build that hypertrophy base, the power building phase. Now me and Sonny, we're working on that, and I can already see a difference in a few weeks. So yeah, I'm getting back to being my robust, Romford-Ball self.
Cliche to say, but feeling the best you've ever felt?
Not the best I've ever felt. Obviously the best I've ever felt is when I'm sort of on an all-inclusive holiday in Turkey, eating loads of high-fat, saturated foods. I haven't felt that in a long time. That's when I'm feeling my best. But I'm feeling cordial.
I'd be remiss not to ask you, as someone who's, I believe, sparred Usyk and Dubois. Am I correct to say?
I sparred Dubois.
Only Dubois.
And let me tell you, that is not an easy affair. And that man punches really hard. Shook me to my boots many a time, even with his big 20-ounce gloves on. But that man punches unbelievably. See you later, Tom. Take care. See you later. But he punches unbelievably, and I think under John Charles, them improvements we've seen in the fights with Jarrell Miller, Filip Hrgovic, he looks like he's really turned a corner, and he will give Usyk one hell of a test and one hell of a run for his money. And obviously backing the British fighters, I'll be backing him all the way. But it's going to be a tall ask to beat Usyk.
I mean, before I ask you for an official prediction, because I've got to pin you down on that, you mentioned power there. Is Dubois the hardest puncher you've been in there with?
Sparring-wise, yeah, by far. Different level to everyone. His jab is like an electric shock when it hits your skin, and I felt it go down my spine. It was like, yeah, I don't want to take too many of them, and then the right hand's another level to that. So even with 20 ounces on, that man's a dangerous mofo. Yeah.
So I've got to press you on a prediction. Final question here. Prediction. If you had to be, gun to your head, you have to pick who's going to win that fight in July. Who is it?
It's Daniel Dubois, because I'm back in the Brit. I like Daniel. I'm letting that probably cloud my judgment a bit, but I think the power of the man, and there is a lot of debate over the body shot in the first fight. I saw a fight just after that on the same night in America, Jared Anderson. There were shots going below the belt and that many a times, or lower than that shot. So by the letter of the law, yes, it is below the navel, but I do think he's got the power and he's got the momentum after them great wins against Joshua, Hrgovic and Miller. He can do it, and he'll do it for Great Britain.
You're saying body shot knockout? Body shot knockout,
or... Yeah, let's go with that. You've done it for me. You're making my decisions.
What rounds?
I always get it wrong. Let's say it's going to be either round 1 or any of the rounds up to round 12.
Johnny, absolute pleasure.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers, bud.
On AM, on DAB, via the TalkSport app and on your smart speaker. TalkSport.